In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to indicate the head on a vertical mill. I've got a ring that we've made. We've got several of them in the shop. You don't necessarily have to have it. You could be right on the table. Just make sure the table is clean. There aren't any chips, anything. Um, I like to start by bringing around, regardless of where my head is, whether it's tilted forward or back. I like to start in the back. So what I'll do is center my indicator so it hits all the way around the ring, and then I'll bring the knee up until it's 0, bring it around back. You want to have your spindle in neutral while you're doing this. Makes it easier to spin. You'll see there where that wrench is, that's what will adjust your ram forward and backwards. And then that's what we'll start with. So we're going to start in the back, find out where we're at all the way around. It might be incredibly bad, it might be pretty close, depending on always good to check before you start machining. Just throw an indicator on there, spin it around, make sure that it is good and square, because if it's not, you're going to mess up your part. So start in the back. When you start in the back, bring it around to the front, whatever it is, just go ahead and move it that amount. Because of the position of the head connection to the ram, you're only moving in one direction, either up or down, to get it back to 0. And swing it back around to the back. You might have to do this 2, 3, 4 times to get it perfectly 0, but bring your knee up to re-zero your indicator in the back, swing it around forward. When you've got 0 in front and back, then you can move to the side. So when you move to the side, whatever it is off, just go ahead and move it to 0 in that direction, and that should bring it in. And at this point, all of it needs to be snug, particularly in the front. You want it to be snug because the head, when it's moving left to right or along that y-axis, if you don't have your bolts snug, the 4 bolts in front, it'll tend to drop over one way or the other once you get to 0. So you snug those down, and that way when you get to 0, it stays there. And once you got it, there you see the bolt for adjusting left to right is right there on the right hand side of the head. So there's a little bolt sticking out, the adjustment screw on that one. So just bring it to 0, spin it around, and if you look at this one, you can see I made a mistake by moving it the wrong direction to 0, so I had to go back and move the other direction. I work from one side to the other, so I start with back to front and then right to left. That's just the way I do it, and I've done this so many times that I could get ahead in it, indicated in just a couple of minutes. Your first attempts, it's going to be frustrating. Might take you half hour, 45 minutes or longer. It depends on how patient you are, and just taking your time and following the procedures that I've laid out for you. Like I said, start in the back, 0 your indicator, bring it around to the front, move it to 0 in the front and then move around to the back again, re-zero, bring it around to the front, move it again as much back to that 0 until it stays at 0 all the way around. Once you've got that, make sure those are semi-snug, and then move to the right. Adjust your head to where the 0 on your indicator matches the front and back, and that should be pretty close, but then take a swing all the way around and see if you don't need to. And if you still need to make adjustments, I would start by front to back again and then right to left. So 0 out on the back, move it around to the front, move that until it's 0, doesn't move, and then adjust your right to left. And then when you're done, just put your stuff away.